Good afternoon and welcome to the Red Devils Roundup. Harry here and Matt from Bulgaria, is it?
Yeah, Bulgaria. So sorry I'm a little bit late, Harry, but yeah, I
The pina
I had
colada's got away with you.
yeah, the pina colada's got away with me exactly. To be honest, I'm glad I made it because I only got to see bits of the games. I saw a decent bit of the first half. The second half was hard because, if I'm honest, I panic packed, had to drive to the airport, I barely slept, passed out on the flight. I basically woken up and then we've got to. I think it's literally called Sunny Beach. That's the name of the place.
Yeah.
Have you
I've
been?
heard of it. I've not been, but I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the guys he turns at me and goes, "Oh bloody hell!" He goes, "I've had some right weeks here." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "It's like some Magaluf, like
Mm.
what is it? 18 to 30s club kind of thing that they do out here. Look, I've even got so
Yeah,
this gets me free drinks and food everywhere, so I can just drink as much as I want. It is
excellent.
so you might not hear from me for the next few days, Harry, if that's all right. We
No.
might have to talk about when we do the next game. But yeah, to be honest with you, I'm not even. I what I saw of the start was quite exciting. What I didn't catch very well at the end looked very unexciting. But I'd love to hear what you actually saw because I only intermittently saw bits when I was panic packing to leave.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there were bits of it that were okay, but our general build-up passing was a lot less patient. I think Harry Maguire in that team just doesn't work. You see immediately on the ball. How many times in the last few games have we played long diagonals, and then within 5 minutes he's hit a long diagonal towards Rashford and we've lost the ball. That's I mean, just every time he's on the ball, he passes it behind the player, and they've got to go further and further back. And yeah, just you look at our defensive line, and it was completely doglegged yesterday. You had Martinez wanting to push up. You had Maguire dropping back, pulling Mazraoui back with him. Dallo was getting forward on the left. It was probably getting forward a bit too far for my liking at times. It was like
Right.
towards the I think it was the Chelsea game towards the end of last season when Dallo was making runs like in the centre forward position. I don't think that's where he needs to be. But he played a lot of the game playing as the inverted fullback coming into midfield, which he did really well, getting on the ball in there and passing it, looking after it well. But it's just when he does that, we do leave space down the right hand side, and I think they had a couple of opportunities where well, not necessarily where they created scoring opportunities from, but they had lots of occasions where they get forward into that right hand position. He's tucked into midfield, so he's trying to get back, and he's not in position. Rashford's not tracking back, so you got Martinez having to pull across, and it just leaves us a little bit open at the back. You know what? I'm happy with him playing that inverted fullback role when he's not absolutely knackered out, because he's had 10 minutes that he's missed all season so far. I think that's the thing there. I want to see Darlow given a bit of a rest, but at the moment they can't do that. So yeah, I felt like we were a bit open down that right hand side, and that's where the goal came from. Although in that instance he was actually in position, but he just did you see the goal?
Yeah, I thought it was down the left hand side.
No. Down their right hand side, our left.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought you
Yeah.
meant ours. That's the pina coladas. Yeah, because that. Do you know what? That's what I was trying to work out. Actually, the goal was one of the few bits of the second half that I actually saw. It was really depressing because I was getting the bags all down the thing, and I had it actually on my phone, so I kept like placing it in different places so I could watch it. And I just sort of watched it, and as he's coming down, I was like, he's going to score. I could see it coming a mile off. He had all that space coming down, didn't he? And when I was thinking he's going to drop it like right at the bottom corner, and Anana obviously thought he was going to go across the goal, didn't he? Because
Yeah, he gave him the
moved
eyes,
the
didn't
body
he?
like that, and it just went that way, and he's like, shit.
The thing is, I mean, you look at Mazraoui coming across covering. I don't think the goal shot was on because Mazraoui was almost getting there. So I think Anana's got to be aware of where Mazraoui is and where that means the striker's likely to hit it, and he just can't leave his near post open in that situation. But I mean, you look at the replay, it's like last season, Rashford pressing up on his own. They beat his press and then he just sort of trots back afterwards. You got Bruno trots across, doesn't really make a challenge. Um, Martinez is there, gets close, but he's on a yellow card. He doesn't want to dive in the middle of the field and risk getting sent off.
Right.
So then he breezes past Ericsson, who doesn't really make a challenge either. Then you got Maguire goes lunging in and misses completely. And then Ugarte cuts in, does what we've bought him to do, gets in, makes the tackle. It falls to Ericsson, who's not scanned around, doesn't know what's around him, turns inside, and so I mean you've got Rashford, Bruno, Martinez, Ericsson, Maguire, and then Ericsson again, and then Anana, who've all made all not done their utmost or made a mistake in snuffing out that goal. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, it was very frustrating. I thought Ericsson's goal was good, but it was kind of a bit like Moments FC again from last season and from Ollie's time. You know, it was just that little bit of genius. I didn't feel like we built up particularly well. It was a lot less patient. I think with Maguire there, he was pinging the long balls across, and that's not what we're trying to do. So I think that selection just made such a difference to how we play. I thought Ugarte, he gave the ball away a bit, but most of it was in advanced positions. Now, when we signed him, I didn't think he'd be getting in the box like he does, but yeah, there are a few advanced positions where he tried a through ball and messed it up basically. So I don't know whether we just tell him to stick to tapping hip right or left to the
What's
nearest
interesting
player.
with Agate is he actually so before he before we signed him with the whole saga that's going on. I remember I can't remember where I saw it. It could have been on another channel or online. I'm not sure. But I remember seeing a heat map on where he plays and actually where he wins the ball. And more often than not, it is actually much further into the opposition's half than you think. So would expect him to do quite high, but to hear he's in the box is surprising. I don't
I,
think we need another player getting in the box.
I expect him to press and recover the ball quite high, but I
Mm.
don't expect him to be as high in possession. I think he's kind of that safeguard, scanning around, probably staying outside the box, but he was getting in there a bit more or getting on the ball and trying a through ball. So yeah, if he can do it, then great. If he can't, then stick to what you're good at. I think is the
Yeah,
kind
it's
of.
interesting.
But he,
Yeah,
from
yeah,
what I've heard, he's got a bit of grief last night. People saying he's
has
not
it?
good enough, but I thought the number of balls he snuffed out and the goal he nearly prevented there. Um, yeah, I think he's just settling in. He's only had 20 minutes at a time, or I think he started the Barnsley game, didn't he? But he's not had 90 minutes before this game. And
No,
give the guy a chance. And I think he did plenty of good stuff in the game. Okay, lost the ball a few times, but I mean, lots of players lost the ball a few times,
yeah,
which probably brings us on to Bruno,
I didn't really
which
notice him that much.
well, that's the thing. He didn't seem to do much positive. He was struggling to get on the ball, and then when he got on the ball, he was trying the Hollywood pass again, and it just wasn't coming off for him. And I mean, towards the end of the game, he was trying so hard you could see it, but it just wasn't working for him, and he was doing some silly stuff, and he looked absolutely knackered. Like You look at the next three games. This was the one game where we probably did have the opportunity to give him a rest, play Ericsson in the 10, try out Ugarte with Mainu or with Casemiro, and give Ericsson that break. If the game's going against us, then bring him on at 65 minutes. But yeah, it just I don't get when it's going so badly for him. I don't get leaving him on for 90 minutes, and he's really
Interesting.
struggled for form this season.
Yeah, like I said to you the other day, I was up for him starting this game because I felt that he needed to try and use it to gain a bit of confidence. But I did say I was very happy with him not playing because I do think he is the exact kind of player that does need to be rested. Um, and actually, just to build on that was something I did notice because I mean I've obviously said on this channel now a few times, Ericsson is blowing me away. I thought he was done for United. The first half I did see, and I thought he looked great. And that goal was insanely good. There is an argument to be said at the moment, and this is just going off what you said here as well, because I didn't see it in a lot of detail. But Ericsson should be the number 10, drop Bruno for a bit, and we look at a different midfield. I think a big problem for me, he's playing. What was it? It was Ericsson and Ugarte in the midfield, which I don't see that working. And I'd be interested to hear your thoughts if you saw any semblance of it working. And like I said, what I did see, it did look good in the first half. But why Ugarte and Casemiro wasn't getting played in that game? It's potentially a manager's mistake there because Ugarte, there would have been less pressure on him to do that. We are doing like a double pivot in that game. I think he's tried to go, Bruno's doing the Hollywood passes. I think, Ten Hag's kind of gone for the Hollywood tactics then, hasn't he, to try and win it?
Yeah, I mean, tactically, it was a little bit strange at times, I thought, because you've got Dalot coming in to make the double pivot with Ugarte, and then you had Ericsson playing advanced on the sort of left hand side and Bruno playing advanced on the right hand side. But Bruno seemed to be moving further and further over to the over towards the touchline, and we weren't playing through them because we had no one in that area in the middle of the pitch, and we kept on trying to play around the side. And when you've got inverted forwards, we weren't utilizing that width, or we weren't able to utilize that width because they always had to cut inside. So it just, yeah, I mean, if we're going to play wing play, then play with proper wingers and use that width and play with two forwards up there who can head the ball. If we're going to play with inverted forwards, then we need to be creating that inside for them. I think it's.
But I think let's agree here because I thought at the start, and we had a good conversation on the last video. It really felt like to me like the team selection was key. I could see Martinez playing alongside Maguire. That's fine. Maybe just the way Martinez is playing with De Ligt now, that those two need to consistently play together to deliver for those two to continue to deliver the results they need. So then he should have started Evans, which I did say I could see Evans getting a game there. But if you're going to play Martinez, you play him because you want to play Amas, right? Because you need that extra cover down that side, and he's done neither of those. Amas he clearly is protecting, and that's fine in its own way. We don't know what's going on internally, but again, we've now had a draw, which to be fair, I would say we could have won. I think Xerxes, I did notice, was playing well when I saw him, and he could add a couple. It was like a nearly United game in some ways. There was a lot of positives that I did see in the first half, but actually, you go through that, and I think it has come down to he's picked the wrong team then, hasn't he? Because it hasn't worked what he's tried to achieve. We arguably could have won it. Another game we arguably could have won, but then it's come to the second half, and because the way we're playing, maybe we just got found out. The manager's come in and gone, listen, this is what they're trying to do. Let's do this. You know, he's bombed it down our left-hand side. It was completely open. He scored. And it comes down to the fact we've got the wrong players on the pitch.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
ridiculous. You know, I think I appreciate we don't have all of the information he has, and it is tough to make the assumptions, but we've got harder games coming up. That was one of the easier ones. That was a must 3 points in the competition.
Yeah, I mean that
Very
game
interesting to see if
was
we
it
get
was
knocked
so
out.
important for momentum, and you look at it,
That as
and
well.
I mean, how embarrassing is it going to be as well if the new Europa League format, if we don't qualify in the top 8? I mean, that's going to be horrendous. Our next 2 games are Porto away and Fenerbahce away. They're not going to be easy, and like we could
They've both got
conceivably
draws
on,
written all over them, haven't they?
yeah, we could be on 1 or 2 points after 3 games.
Oh, don't.
And then that just ramps up the pressure on the rest of them. I know we should win all the rest of them, but I mean we should have won last night. You don't know. Like Porto lost to Glimt, whatever they're called, last night, and we've got to play them. So yeah, it's a bit concerning. Like, you you feel that first choice defence is so vital to the way that we want to play.
Yeah.
And I think when Euro comes in, maybe he can play that. When Shaw comes in, maybe he can play that as well. And then we've got that kind of latitude to rotate a little bit. But as soon as we bring in a Maguire or an Evans or a Lindelof in centre back, it's just going to really hinder us playing the game plan that we want to play.
Yeah, I forgot Lindelof was there.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
now he said his name. It's like, oh.
He's back in training by the looks of it.
And
And
Malacia is, yeah.
Malacia's training with the squad as well, a bit, and then doing some individual training too. But I mean, at the moment, it looks like Malacia will be back before Shaw. I mean, just got no idea
Oh,
about Shaw.
100%. I actually saw. I was reading something the other day, and you know, Shaw's expected back. I think they said before or after the next international break. So what? Any time then? So
Yeah.
any point in the rest of the season. I think that's such a cop out because that says to me like the earliest he could basically be back in training is the international break. That's what I took out
Yeah.
there. When he could actually then actually have be, you know, training or playing is just completely unknown. As Malacia, you know, he's probably 2-3 weeks away. And that's on the basis that he actually performs well in training. You know, he hasn't played football in forever. Yeah, real pity because I mean, one thing I did say is I thought fair play on the team selection. I was concerned about the midfield straight away because I think for me, Agate and Casemiro to give them both confidence was a key play, or trying something different. But you know, I looked at that team, I looked at that bench, and I was like, actually, do you know what? That is a good team and bench. This is a must-win game.
I mean, we've got a good, strong squad, and you look at that bench, and there's a lot of options on there. There's a lot of quality on there, but he's just not quite worked out how to change it in the game and adjust the tactics. Because I think he's bringing players on and who don't necessarily fit together. And it's yeah, I thought it was weird that he moved Bruno over onto the right wing when you've got a right winger in Anthony who can dribble and create something when Bruno's having a crap game. I thought one of the positives from the game was I thought Rashford and Xerxes linked up quite well, especially in the first
Yeah.
half.
No, I noticed. I actually, do you know what? That was actually, now you mention it, I would say, because I thought at the start, I was like, oh, there's something going on there. That looks exciting, but yeah, it is. I know this sounds silly. I haven't seen any news or anything, so I'd love to know what the pundits are saying. I felt like we were really up for it in the first half, and then I felt like it didn't come off, and their heads dropped a little bit in the second half, and Twente just looked like they made some slight tweaks and wanted it a little bit more. There was that little bit more desire to
But
take it,
that's
and
what
they did.
Ten Hag came out and said
As
after the
it,
game, and Ericsson said it as well, and they both said, they looked like they
Eric
wanted it
said
more
it
than
as well.
us. Yeah, he said they looked like they wanted it more than us, and that's not acceptable. So, yeah, I mean,
I must say that's something I'm going to read that after this.
yeah,
That's insane because honestly, that's my thought. To be honest, I was really panicking and falling asleep because I had a flight in like 2 or 3 hours. No, sorry, I had to leave for my flight in 2 or 3 hours. So I actually fell asleep during it must have got to like 70 something, 80 minutes. I can't believe I said that. I mean,
yeah,
that for me now, we've just got to move past this. Oh, they wanted it more. Like, you're a Man United player. Imagine like Roy Keane not wanting it more than another player on the pitch. You'd be like, what? And like, that's the caliber of player that we've had at Man United. And to go out there and be like, oh, I felt like we didn't want it enough. And that team as well, like we were multiple levels above them in terms of quality and depth. I think, being brutally honest, like, fair play to them for scoring. Yes, I think there's all these things that didn't work, and I know there was other chances because I loosely saw them. There was a couple from Xerxes. Am I correct in saying?
I only recall one Xerxes chance, which he did really well to shift the ball and make a shot. It was going in the top corner, and the goalie saved it.
That was the
I
one.
can't.
Yeah,
I think we had something like 19 shots and 5 or 7 on target.
was there?
I think, but again, it was just like last season. You had us getting into advanced positions and then either passing it backwards or making a shot from the edge of the box. We had 6, 7, 8 of our shots would have come from outside the box, I reckon.
There
Which,
we go. It's still not
it's
easy.
just a low percentage option really, and yeah, we just didn't seem to be patient in that attacking third.
That's interesting because one of the big things I'd say that was so good about the previous one is that we were so patient and really working at getting that goal. So it's just a joke to hear that. Here we go. So let's have a quick look now. Oh, oh no. Why's it only got half the stuff? Oh, here we go. Sorry, I've got to click stats. That's why. So, oh God. So we had 55% possession to their 45, 18 total attempts to their 7, 48 attacks to their 30, which 30 feels way too many. We had 10 corners to their 5. Passing accuracy about the same, 86, 82. But passes completed, we had 469 to their 326. Pass attempt, 544 to 399. Just goes on. No, what's this? This is good.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the corners there. We had 10 to their 5. One big difference in not having Delip playing is we just don't look threatening from the corners. I think he's made a nuisance of himself and had 3 or 4 chances and scored a goal from those corners, and we just didn't have any of that really last night.
Just looking at the defending stuff. They did 8 blocks to our 2, but we recovered the ball 41 times to their 35. Do you know what? Defensively wise, bar balls recovered, they've actually beaten us in every other area in defending. Let's just go back to attacking. Where's that? Yeah, we pretty much. Oh no, bar blocks, attacking blocks. I'm sure we're attacking blockers actually, but we beat them in every area. I mean, generally speaking, we were the better team, which was what I saw in the first half. But it's a poor passage of play, wasn't it? We were saying they wanted it more. That absolutely what I thought I saw as well, which is way more desire, is what I would have said in that second half from them to get that goal. And actually, after that, they just needed to keep themselves in the game, which I don't know what happened after a certain point, unfortunately. But
Yeah, after the goal, I thought they looked dangerous for sort of the next 10 to 15 minutes, and then they changed things and went 5-4-1 low block and just pretty much closed it out. It was the last sort of 10 minutes when they switched to that formation when we
right,
had
that's when I fell asleep.
we
That,
had virtually
yeah.
all of the possession in that time as well, so that would have skewed the possession statistics a bit. I think they were it was a lot
Weren't
more
even that
even
far in
before
front.
that.
Oh, fine. Yeah, no, it's busy. I remember that was when I was falling asleep. Actually, it was. I remember them saying they'd gone to a 5-4-1. That was the last thing I remember. I just thought, oh, that's that then, isn't it?
Yeah.
My brain obviously thought the same because I was like a light out.
Yeah.
But yeah, very disappointing to wake up to after a 3-hour kip and then
Yeah.
getting in the car.
Um,
Oh,
Other positives were Rasmus got some more minutes, although he didn't really do an awful lot. Mount got some minutes and looked decent on the ball in the 10 role, and he moved Bruno over to the right to accommodate Mount in the 10 role. So I think that gives us a little bit of insight into where he sees Mount actually playing. Um, but for him to
no,
play
that's
there,
good.
he's going to need to substitute Bruno or drop him or
Yeah.
rotate him. I mean, there's a lot
Then
of games
why did
that I
Bruno
think he
not
should
come off?
rotate.
Yeah,
Was
but
that?
why did Bruno not come off for Anthony though? I think that's an excellent point you made.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, it was bizarre.
you bringing more energy on as well and putting Mount on it. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
it's
you've got that creativity there with Mount on the pitch and Mainu on as well, and yeah, put a bit of pace down that right hand side and see if he can do something. Like Bruno's having a shocker, you're going to move him out of position. Like, yeah, just was a bit baffling, and that I think that's the thing we talked about in after the last game was the substitutions that he's making in the match. How is he positively affecting the game? And I think we saw it against Brighton, we saw it against Palace, and we saw it again last night, where the substitutions he's making aren't working out. They're not changing the game and finding results. Okay, he made the substitutions against Fulham, which did result in the goal, but I think he needs to get better at that, and it's going to be more obvious now that he's got that stronger squad and more options off the bench. I think last season you couldn't really criticise him not using the bench because he had youth players on there. This season he's got players on there who can go on change the dynamic of the game, and he's going to need to use them correctly if he's going to get through this next run of games. I mean, how many games have we had so far this season? 7, and we've won 2 of them.
it's insane.
3 of them even. 3 of them. But we've played Fulham, we've played Brighton, we've played Liverpool, we've played Southampton, Crystal Palace, Barnsley, and FC Twente, and we've won 3 of those games.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Oh, I tell you what, I'm getting summoned to some wedding event we got going on down here, so I'm gonna have to go. But I was just
Yeah.
checking then about getting our next chat in, and unfortunately, the wedding party flight is when the United game starts. I would never have allowed that if I'd known. I can't honestly, I can't believe it because it's at 8:30 here, which is 6:30 in the UK, that's when the. Oh no, hold on, has it updated my times here?
I think it's 2:30 UK time, the game on Sunday.
No, it can't be. It must be 4:30.
I know,
It's updated.
4:30, yeah.
Yeah, because I was thinking there's no 6:30 game. Oh no, we'll get to watch it. Thank God. So yeah,
Wait
no,
till you've watched it, mate.
honestly, I was just looking at it then, thinking, "How have you done this to me?" I was going to go have a chat with the groom, and he's going to be like, "Oh, don't speak to me. Speak to my wife. You know, she organised everything. You know, I don't wear the trousers. That's what I would have got from him." But
Yeah.
which you've already had twice today on things, because we told him we're taking him out later, and he's like, "Oh, the wife won't have it," and I was like, "She will, she will," because he doesn't really drink. So anyway, so we'll get to watch it. Just to let you guys know, should be getting our first guest on. I
Excellent.
do need to call him. His mate Max lives in Warrington. United fan forever. I gave him an option a couple of games, and he's like, "I want to be on after the Spurs game."
Right.
So really excited to bring him in. We have very different opinions on some things, which is one of the reasons I like speaking to him. I think sometimes me and you differ on some things, but we're normally quite aligned. So I think that'd be quite interesting to see where he's at this stage of the season as well. Unfortunately, well, my brother, as I told you, was supposed to join us the other week. He's actually been told he can't do any social media stuff or anything like that. So he's working on that. Otherwise, he might not be able to come on, which is disappointing because he's supposed to be our man down at the ground to
Okay.
to give us the lowdown of what's going on. So I'll keep you updated on that. But yeah, look, I think just bottom lining it, it is disappointing. It was a must three, and
Yeah.
it was an only one. So
Yeah. I
oh,
mean, I was pretty deflated after the game, and the situation we're in now is that he's got 3 big games coming up, and he's going to need to produce results in at least 2 of them, I think. I mean,
he
he,
could lose his job.
mm,
I actually think, I wasn't worried about it, but it's funny you said that because I was thinking it before the game because we've got Spurs, Porto, Villa, uh, Fenerbahce, West Ham, and I
Brentford
can't
and Chelsea, I think,
potentially
after that.
it's all big games now, and
Well, it's
he loses two
the
in a row,
next
and
the
he's on the
next
block.
3, and you've got the international break. So if we go into the international break losing all those 3, he's going to be in real dire straits, I think.
Yeah, I think they will stick with him a little bit longer than we think,
Mm.
and I think that's the right thing to do. But and actually, looking at the season as a whole, I think we said this the other day. I don't know whether I get confused talking to you separately and on this now, but um, you know, actually, the football is way better. The stats is way better. The team's looking more exciting. It's his job to lose at the moment, but it is a results-driven business, and United particularly need consistently quite strong results. And
Yeah,
I worry for him. I
I
worry
do.
for him. I do
Uh,
think he's the right man still, but he needs to sharpen up after this
yeah,
ban.
I just want him to pick the right players, get the right performances, and get the results. That's what I want. I don't want him out or anything. I just want him to get the results, and at the moment he's not doing that, which gives us a problem.
One thing I would say before we go is he is a solid run away from doing really well though, because I feel I feel like the team is not far off. It is small margins now from doing better, but the results, yeah, I could easily. How many games did I just list? 5 or 6 games. Let's just say 6. Out of those next 6, if he's losing 3 of them, that could be job over, realistically.
Mm.
And I could see him easily losing 3 of them. Like, actually, if we win against Spurs, I think it really takes the pressure off because I wouldn't be surprised if we lose to Villa, to be honest with you. You know, it's Porto and Fenerbahce, which I think are going to probably define his era because he doesn't win one of those 2. I mean, we're in big trouble, aren't we, in the
Yeah.
Europa League? And we've got to progress. Like the Europa League, they were talking about it before the game. I actually got to watch most of that. And he had really they were all having nice chats about it, but actually there was a clear, we've got to do better in Europe. And they said to him, like, you've got to be looking at winning this. And he's like, absolutely. And when he left, or it might be before or after he left, they were like, look, Man United for me, even with Spurs in the competition, um, have to be the favourites. They have to be the ones looking to win it. And you can lose a final. I think that's understandable. I'd be annoyed, but I'd understand if we lost to someone in the final. That's what that happens in finals. But I mean, not to be in the final of the Europa, I think is going to be a big problem for them. And it's very much ringing true of where we were in the Champions League last season. This is a big step down.
But I mean, you look at it and you've got the top 8 qualify straight to the last 16, and then you've got 9th to 24th go to a playoff round. So it's going to be pretty embarrassing if we don't make the top 8 looking down that table. And then having those 2 extra games is going to be a massive ball ache as well. But imagine if we didn't make the top 24.
I mean, with the quality in that league as a whole, I mean, and on that bombshell, I can't even talk about it. So, and on that bombshell, Jesus. Yeah.
Well, fingers crossed we'll have a more positive discussion after the Spurs game. But yeah, good to talk to you as always, and thank everyone for watching. Hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you at the weekend or early next week. Cheers.